Good morning, everybody. It's Leo coming at you with a video diary entry for the book Soft Thorns by Bridget DeVoe, compilation of poetry and thoughts and inspirations and all of that wonderful stuff. And I know it's been a while. It has been it has been quite some time since I came on here and gave you guys a little segment and everything, um, largely in part due to school and everything like that, just studies. But, I'm back and fresh. And honestly, having read the poem that I'm going to present to you guys today, honestly, like Bridget and I promise to God, like, let me just tell you, Bridget and I have this connection. It's like it's this connection. It's like this connection between friends that that haven't we haven't seen each other in years, right? We haven't seen each other in like X amount of time. But when we get together, we just pick up right where we left off. It's like we haven't even skipped a beat. You know what I'm saying? We could have been having, the craziest conversation and it just kind of left off at this ellipse, like, 5 years ago. Okay, 5 years goes past and, we reunite and we're able to remember where off on that conversation we left. So yeah, that's the kind of connection I have with her in reading this. And today's poem, um, honestly, I can kind of feel a little bit of her savage edge coming out. It's sort of a defense mechanism. And we are in, the final portion of her Scarred series before we move on to the next one, Learn. But, this poem, in short few words, speaks so many volumes. Um, and I learned so much. I always say this, before you read material, always just kind of close your eyes and just sort of meditate a moment. It doesn't have to be this big, 10-minute meditation or whatever, but just close your eyes for a minute. Give yourself space to breathe and just be open, be receptive. And, when you read material like hers, there's so much more depth beyond the simplicity of her words. But anyway, I think I've expounded on that enough. So to go right into it, today's poem reads: When boys call me a heartbreaker, I tell them I learn from the best. When boys call me a heartbreaker, I tell them I learn from the best. Video diary entry titled, "And my, you taught me well. And my, you taught me well. I learned from the best." I always used to say that whenever she italicizes words, she sort of means business. A strong emphasis is placed on her message through the italicized words. I learned from the best. And I gather that, from her guy, her guy is sort of like the fuel behind her defense mechanism. The guy that broke her heart and, was very toxic to her, is kind of the fuel behind her fire. And as I read this, I kind of got this imagery, this vision, what have you, of kind of like her in a black skirt, like a short black skirt, like way above her knees, kind of, you know. And towards her upper thigh, black skirt. She's kind of in this bar setting. You know, a group of guys or something try to hit on her and she rejects them, but with a savage twist. You know, after the guys have told her like something to the effect of, you know, man, you are really, you know, you're a piece of work. You know, something to the effect, you know, of calling her a heartbreaker, saying you're a piece of work, or you're difficult, or something else, you're complicated. And then she tells them, well, I learned from the best. And in this vision, her words would be, I've learned from your kind, who sit up and, you know, try to hit up on a girl. Maybe because of the way she's dressed or what have you, you just assume that she's asking for it. But no, you don't take time to be gentlemanly and try to get to know her, get to know who she is as a person. And so guys like you all are kind of the reason why I am the way I am. But kind of alluding to her guy who hurt her, which, you know, kind of played a hand in her building up these walls, you know, putting up this savage, you know, face to kind of like protect herself, more or less. And quite honestly, I say that, you know, this doesn't even apply to just romantic love. This doesn't even apply to just romance. It applies to, you know, relationships in general. You know, when people tell you, you know, you're so guarded or you're so closed off, you have a very standoffish personality or what have you. And it's just like, but you don't understand the reason why. You don't understand what it's like. I just realized I didn't have any bracelets on my other wrist. Anyway, sorry, I digressed. But they don't understand that, you know, you could be putting up a defense mechanism, but it's also a thing of caution. You know, when people come at you all kind of crazy, you learn to have a very cautious nature about you. You know, you just need to be vigilant in this world, period, because there's just some very mentally deranged people out here. So you need to be careful and on guard regardless. But a guarded person is somebody who will even have skepticism towards people with good intentions. You know, I say that my best friend didn't become my best friend right away. No, it took time. I remember, you know, the first time he tried to give me a hug, I rejected his aim because of trauma that I was dealing with. So in this kind of sense, I relate to her. I know what it's like to want to put up this savage face and everything like that. You know, I learned from the best. But there's some deep-rooted hurt inside of there. But yes, when boys call me a heartbreaker, I tell them I learned from the best. And to go into some of my poetry here, with my beginning thought to start with, I can say that now. I can say that now. Now what's done is done, and to the point of no return. I've written all I could, recited all I could withstand, of the horrors drowning my heart in a newfound apathy, an ode to not caring so passionately. I deserve a break from this anyway, bottoms up. Wisdom like sour whiskey, I can drink like this forever, careless and cruelly, casting my life away. There I go again, reciting you, slicing me, dicing me to nothingness. A beautiful knife injection, a blurry insurrection, life turning before my eyes. Depressing, I know, but love was deadly in times past. Just ask him, my loveless lover, beginner of my song. And on I go. Grab me another one, will ya? I can say that now. So it's almost like in this sort of scene, in this poetic scene, it's like she's kind of at the bar, you know, reciting her reasons why, you know, she could be doing it in soliloquy or even amongst this group of guys. But it's like, basically this poem speaks to, now that I've been taught, you know, the realities of love and how it often accompanies heartbreak, numbing oneself to the pain. It's like giving yourself anesthesia, you know, an anesthetic, you know, to not feel the painful side of having loved somebody. I myself have almost reached that point. You know, I myself honestly am kind of having to restructure the way that I think in regards to loving people, and it is a work in progress, because, you know, when you see the state of the world today, it just gives you all the reasons in the world not to have any compassion at all, no empathy at all. But then you remind yourself of those few who are just very much worth your time. And some people, because they have such a beautiful spirit about them, they're worth the extra effort taken to show them how much you care and how much you love them and how much they mean to you. You know, so, but this poem speaks to that, you know, numbing yourself. I can say that now. You know, you've taught me well. I can say that now that I've experienced this. My loveless lover, beginner of my song, the inspiration behind my writing this, sort of the inspirer behind my apathy. I can say that now. Deep, deep. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, God, I love it. I just, oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all, but it's been like so long since I've done one of these, and like having read that, not just because I wrote it, but just as an outsider, like I'm just, I really, there's no other way to put it. I'm just excited. I'm just excited to share this with you guys, and I'm overjoyed. So just bear with me. But yes. And the next one, titled School is Now in Session. School is now in session. The beautiful language of diary love letters. First lesson, fire chronicles, burning that which you once blessed as sacred, shattering her every last word like broken rose petals, blasted glass shards, or even how to let her love erupt like a volcano and vanish to but a cooling agent, cold as ice, callous as a glacier, unable to melt. The mouth of winds trying but unable to penetrate. Yes, impassioned, but impenetrable, unattuned, unreceptive, even to the slightest hint of love or affection. What are those anyway? Windows, once vibrant with sunbeams, darker than night scene, black as the violet trampled by foot, I suppose. You found your desired flower, right? A black rose with but one petal, a thorn crashed in between. This stem is quite lethal, who knew lovable would become a level from which to graduate, or at least for I am still lovable, just forgotten how loved I am. School me, Perspective 1. School is now in session. Windows once vibrant with sunbeams, darker than night scene, black as the violet trampled by foot. I suppose you found your desired flower, right? A black rose petal with but one, a black rose with but one petal. A thorn crashed in between. This stem is quite lethal. Who knew lovable would become a level from which to graduate, or at least, for I am still lovable, just forgotten how loved I am. School me, Perspective 1. School is now in session. It's almost like a crying out for help. It's almost like a crying out for help. Show me how to be loved again. Show me how to embrace love like I once did. You know, after this bitter heartbreak and after this tumultuous battle that I've gone through and trying to get over this person, you know, yes, they might have, before I give them what they want, you know, a black rose, you know, painting a portrait of death and ashes. Someone please come along and help rejuvenate my perspective. Maybe not even my ability to love again, but just to help rekindle my perspective on how to be loved, how to embrace love from other people and not feel like I have to shield myself. I actually don't want to wear this savage face, but to protect my heart and even a little hint of my sanity, I have to, so that I don't waste so much time and deplete so much of my energy openly loving people who clearly show that they just don't care. So school is now in session. I'm opening myself to relearn this art of embracing love. But this is where I say, Bridget, you know, kind of an unofficial intermission. This is where you have to relearn how to love yourself. And sad to tell you that the savage face you put on is not the way to do it. Yes, establish boundaries, but to use savagery as a defense mechanism, you know, to hide the pain is not the way to go. Trust me, I've been there. You know, trying to use savagery as an anesthetic to not feel the pain that can possibly or even definitely come with somebody loving you is not the way to go. But this is where you have to relearn how to love yourself. Reinvent yourself with self-love and care and genuine quality, you know, and quantities of it to then attract the Perspective 1. But maybe that perspective person that you hope for can help rekindle your perspective and help you see being loved in a whole different light, and allowing yourself to be, and allowing yourself to love openly and freely without it being risque or what have you. Yes, school is now in session. Deep stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be quite a bit, I'm not gonna lie to you. But it's really good stuff. The next one, and suddenly it hit me. And suddenly it hit me. Like a sunrise nested upon a solemn cloud, a bright star beaming upon a windowsill, that I am indeed worthy of touching. Sunlight swallowed yeah, let me start that over. Like a sunrise nested upon a solemn cloud, a bright star beaming upon a windowsill, that I am indeed worthy of touching. Sunlight swallowed the breath of all, coloring love herself. I am allowed and destined, prophesied to be loved. My very birth proves that, and if not by you, then one worthy of me. All of me, even the guarded glory with which I fold my heart. They'll love the gates to their unlocking, a slow and graceful venture to a vineyard far beyond, but they'll find me rested, having waited, having worked, having discovered the wonders of me, the woman I've become, inspired by yours truly, your ballad to remember. And suddenly it hit me. Sorry, I had to make sure I read that one line right. A sunrise nested upon a solemn cloud, a bright star beaming upon a windowsill, that I am indeed worthy of touching. Sunlight swallowing the breath of all, swallow the breath of all, coloring love herself. I'm allowed to feel this. I'm allowed to swallow that breath of all, coloring love herself. I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to feel this. I'm allowed to be loved. And loved for who I am. You know, not for what somebody wants me to be, but love for who I am. All of me, even the guarded glory with which I fold my heart, they'll love the gates to their unlocking. Their love will shatter those prison bars that I wall my heart inside. Their ability to love me unconditionally will do that. And quite possibly because they see the work I put in loving myself. To establish boundaries, but not abolish my willingness to embrace love altogether. Yes, it hit me. I realize this now. And the next one titled, just have a little bit to go, Lessons Learned. Lessons Learned. I've been studying quite a while the sentiments of times past, unfolding pages of my diary, which I hadn't read in a long time, the scent of the flower petals I last left laden there. Burning her posed quite a difficulty. What a way to succumb to a novelty of disaster, when a Nile of delight awaits my opening. My dive into its lavish waters, its summery sparkles like the diamonds or a solemn lake. Luscious waters to start with, but the stains of dark waters will always and forever remain. I'm allowing my heart a refresher for a hollow season. But boys, seriously, men, so you want to be called. Get it together. Grow up. Take a class or two yourselves. Might learn something. Anatomy of a girl's heart, the body language of her soul, the dialect of her love, with or without words, her overall, the woman as a whole. Lessons learned. Wow. Kind of going back to the bar scene a little bit, schooling these guys on how to treat a woman, and fellas, this is for you actually. The way you to show that you love a girl is not trying to get inside her pants. Not the way to do it. And females, I tell you this almost like a older brother would tell his younger sister, or even his older if he saw her getting into that. Girls, but female ladies, opening yourself up sexually and freely like that is not the way to win a guy's approval. I don't care what society tries to feed you. No. Even if the guy rejects you for loving yourself, your ability to take that rejection and move forward and look at it from the lens of that was your protection from something that would actually sabotage your worth. But no, by rejecting his aims to just hook up with you actually saves you in the end. It actually solidifies the fact that you know your worth. But when you don't know your worth, you will just open yourself up to any and everything. Ladies, you're intelligent, you are beautiful, you have so much more to offer. Don't let these guys objectify you, sexually. Give them a chance to stimulate you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, before you go down that later route. Because a sexual connection, let me tell you, I have not experienced this personally, but I do know that when you tie yourself physically, intimately with somebody, it's almost like a connecting of souls. It's a connection of spirits, not just bodies. And ladies, you being wired emotionally are more susceptible to attachment to a guy who could, fulfill his little obligation or desire sexually and move right along. Very rarely is it the other way around. But the point is, with this poem, it's just her saying, guys, grow up. Learn the anatomy of a woman's heart. Learn what that encompasses. Learn the body language of her soul. Try to learn what her soul is trying to tell you. Learn to communicate with her heart and soul as it's manifesting through her physical body language. Learn the dialect of her love. Learn her love language. Her love language might not be physical touch necessarily, Her love language might be words of affirmation or gifts or quality time. A woman showing her love to you does not mean her opening her legs to you, fellas. A woman showing her love to you might be her telling you, everything is going to be all right if you're having a difficult time with something. It's not just her letting you hop in bed with her. No. And ladies, know your worth and know love a little bit more in depthly to understand that it doesn't encompass you just giving yourself away like that. Preserve yourself for the right one, the worthy one. Yes, lessons learned. And the second to last one, believe it or not. So let's review. Poems, so let's review. The harmonies of kisses shared, the warming nights of bodies flared in passion, surreal like the stars of night, the darkened corners cast a flight, in the majestic most light of all time, the luminous plight of love, the blessing disguised as pain, the pleasure surmised as rain, the irony of love and war radiating soulfully within this art of loving another, body, mind, and soul, heart, the whole of their existence. Yes, I think I'm ready to renounce you now, toss you a flame, but keep your ashes as a relic, a token to a love conquered, keeping mine well intact. I won this time, and I'm owning her, my victory over you. And because I loved you, I can love me and the man staring across the park and not the bar. One sober soul to another, to a drunkless paradise, to romance in air, in flight, and en route. Remember these words. So let's review. Casting my thoughts of you aside, toxic one, to now breathe the air of a more tantalizing love that'll take me to afar places, that which I deserve to be ushered towards in the first place. But typical love lesson, I had to, go through your valley to now walk into this vineyard. Where I can drink fresh wine, fermented in real passion, clothed in real love, sparkling with real joy. This love is honest and true. I understand it'll have its ups and downs. But this man which I speak of will show himself worthy, will show himself right for me. He may have his faulty ways, but I dare not say that he would be toxic altogether. If I'm emotionally distraught, he'll actually tend to my needs. He won't dismiss or disregard my feelings about matters that I find important. But no, he'll embrace my emotions as they are. Despite how difficult they might be to stomach, he'll at least try to understand where I'm coming from. So let's review. I've reviewed both the pleasures and the perils of having loved my former one. In both lessons, I can take into my prospective relationship. And after having reviewed those perils, And even those pleasures, I can now renounce the heartache, and I can embrace the palms of a mender of hearts, molding my newfound perspective on love. And hence, I tell her in my after quote, concluding, move on, my love, but let's remember. Move on, my love, but let's remember. We can travel back in time, beloved, when your ballads played soft and soothing, when your heart found sparks bright grooving to the harmony of night, to the psalmistry of lights, the poetry of constellations, the paintings of 1,000 nations, cities written upon the sky, foretelling love to be. We renounce his name, but remember his song. They don't need to know the soul inspiring. They just need to see us flying and taking off, moving onward, forward, forever gone. Elevation's easy once you get the hang of it, by letting go of him. Move on, my love, but let's remember. I love that line right there. Elevation's easy once you get the hang of it, by letting him go. Elevation requires separation. In order to elevate towards one thing, you have to detach from another. Shredding the old to then embrace and huddle over the new. And that's my advice to you, Bridget. You know, you're making progress. But learn to love yourself with sincerity this time, and not savagery at your defense, but genuine self-love being your delight. When boys call me a heartbreaker, I tell them I learned from the best. Good segment, minus that little hiccup and suddenly it hit me. But I love it. You know, I'm enjoying this, you know, and everything as always. I look forward to the next segment. It's been a minute, but I was so excited to get on here and do this. But yes, I'm gonna enjoy my Saturday. You know, good stuff, good stuff. Take care, be blessed, and y'all have an amazing one.